New car alert! New car alert! We got a new car, baby!
5 Series, baby!
Just kidding. My X5 went in for service today. Apparently I have 4 or 5 different recalls on the X5M. I was like, okay, definitely time to take this thing in, and they gave me a 5 Series. That's a pretty good loaner car. Before our motor gets back from New Zealand, I want to spend a couple days on the 350Z and get a couple things dialed up on it and fixed. And one of the most important things that I need to fix on that car is I need to replace the lower control arm that snapped off where the N-Link connects. Thankfully, PBM is in San Diego, and it's located right next to the BMW place we were just at, so we're about to go there, check it out, then probably pick up some new pieces for the Z.
The destination is on your left.
First stop of the day, PBM. The holy grail of angle. I really want to buy this drop knuckle for the Z, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. But it looks awesome, and I do want it. I do want to buy it, but I'm holding myself back. You guys would be proud. Yay for new car parts. Oh, don't want to lose that. I've lost that too many times. I have to admit, it does feel good to be home. Before we go ahead and get started on fixing the angle kit on the 350Z, I want to let you guys know that these jet tags, the S2000 inspired jet tags, are now up for sale on the website. By the time you guys are watching this video, it actually went up yesterday. If you want to check to see if they are still available, the link is down below. I hope the people who wanted them actually got them. So today our objective is to replace this PBM lower control arm with this new lower control arm. For anyone who's ever dealt with these, you will understand and you will sympathize with what I'm saying. But this is a very, I wouldn't say difficult, but it's very tricky install, meaning there's a bunch of different adjustments and it's not your typical lower control arm. I don't know the geometry, or I don't quite remember the stock Z setup, but this arm right here like bypasses what you would normally have, and it's just tricky, and I'm sure Calvin and I will confuse it at one point during this install. But the reason why we're going to be replacing this new one with this old one, because the last track day I had, I felt like I was understeering quite a bit, and then I noticed my N-Link that is supposed to connect right at the top of the lower control arm, the tab completely broke off. So here's what it's supposed to look like. There's a tab with the hole for the N-Link, and this one just cleanly just shattered off. So something that I might do once this older one is off, because it is still working and it still is in good condition, is I might just try to replicate this piece of it and take it to like a fabricator and have them weld on a piece if possible, and maybe just like smoke a hole through it to recreate what this one is, because that would be a great backup to have. And I bought a pair of this, so I actually bought the driver's side and then I also bought a passenger side, just because at events or at comp, these are items that break quite often, so it's always good to have spares. So today our goal is to disassemble this one and put this one on. Now starting with this, it's kind of tricky because you actually have to drop the subframe brace, which is this black piece right here. And normally this job was a lot easier on the lift, but currently we have the FD on the lift. With the way the bags are now and with the steering column removed from the car, I'd really rather not lower it and back it up and take everything off of it. So I hope I don't regret doing this, but we're just gonna end up doing this one the old-fashioned way with the jacks on the ground, which should be okay. I've got it pretty high. We do need to do a lot of work underneath the car, but hopefully it's not too much of a bitch. Alright, the subframe is off. That was debatably one of the most annoying parts about this thing. Now this is important that we do not lose these spacers. Very important. Alright, so I just disconnected the hub from the end of the lower control arm. So now we'll just have the, I don't know, inner clip of the lower control arm and then where the coilover connects to it, and that should be off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this inner one first, and then I'm gonna do the coilover side. The reason for that is right now the only thing holding this thing up and not slamming the ground is the fact that the coilover is still connected to it.
Shit, did that just like fall?
Well, before I did it, I disconnected all the brake lines because the only worry that you would have when disconnecting.
Only worry what? Do you say?
The only worry that you would have when disconnecting this hub first, because it is the heaviest thing, is making sure the brake lines aren't going to tug or snap or that you're not going to ruin anything. So once I double checked all that was good, I went ahead and just did that. So now I think we'll remove this one and then we'll do this and then it should come out.
Well, that might be a little bit of a problem there, teacher.
What's that?
Because the thing that we need to get to is behind here. Actually,
I already tested it and it works. Okay, so now that this is out, one thing that is extremely important is that we need to now transfer over all of these measurements on this side. Don't spin that, don't spin that, don't spin that.
There's nothing there. It's just a floating meme.
We're gonna do our best to transfer over all of these measurements on this little control arm onto our new one. And then once we install this, we will go back and realign it. But this will be the best way to transfer over the measurements without totally, completely screwing up all of our alignment measurements. What was the measurement on this one, Calf?
26 millis.
26 mils, put that one to 26, and then we gotta measure this one. God, it's so satisfying seeing a new clean one versus this old one. I've tried power washing this one while on the car and it would just like never get clean.
You could scrub it with a toothbrush, Teach.
I tried scrubbing it. I tried even with brake parts cleaner and I couldn't even get it clean. It is very important to make sure that this lock nut is tight on the back of the arm because over time, if that's not tight, this will get loose and it will have free play and your measurements will screw up. I used to always forget that step. That's why I'm letting you guys know.
Yeah, careful, Mike.
Oh, yeah. That went a little easier than expected. I just remember that being a lot harder. So just for reference right now, this doesn't have the subframe brace in it, so we just put that in for temporary. Once we tighten everything down, we're gonna undo the subframe mount one, drop that, put our subframe back underneath, and then retighten it. But just for holding purposes, that's where that's gonna go. And also while I was down here, I just found my power steering leak. I've had like a small drip over the past couple events, and I found out that it's coming from the bottom of my reservoir. So I think just if I tighten this, hopefully that will fix it. But I started to see all the crap on there and I was like, that's where the leak is coming from. All right, now that we have the lower control arm back in and we have our end link back to what I said earlier, it's important to make sure that all of your collars are tight. I used to have this issue with being dumb in the past and not tightening them down. This one particularly, like you wouldn't think to tighten that initially, but you got to. We have, I mean, these ones are usually okay, but we'll double check nut and bolt everything. So next what we want to fix is the, I don't know what you would call this, Scott. Do you know what that's called?
It's a tie rod spacer?
Tie rod spacer. I think it is a tie rod spacer. I'm not sure. But, so we use S14 tie rods on this and it uses the spacer to connect it to the steering rack for the 350Z. And it's supposed to be horizontal like that. But oftentimes there are these teeth on the back of the spacer and sometimes they break and they do this. Yeah, that is not good. That is not what it's supposed to do. PBM actually gave me a free spacer to replace this one. On the back of the spacer, there's like these teeth right here, and that actually helps replace it from rotating horizontally and vertically. So we're gonna replace this spacer. It should just be a new bolt. Take the spacer off, put the new spacer on, and we should be on our way.
Wonder what we're doing here.
So as we were replacing the spacer side, it doesn't line up correctly, and this is my first time replacing like a modular piece of the tie rod. I think we got the wrong side. These teeth that I was referring to earlier fit into the steering rack. It's a keyed system. When you put the teeth in, it doesn't line up the way we need.
Which is this way?
Which is that way. And on the other side, like if you were to go and try to put this spacer on the opposite side, it fits perfectly. So I think that we may just have the wrong side. They could be the same thing. I'm not sure. And maybe we tried moving the shaft of the steering rack to try and like line it up the correct way. And there really isn't too much play. And to be quite honest with you guys, this is the first time that we've gone this far with this steering rack. So I don't know 100%. So for sake of being cautious and not knowing enough, I think I'm either A, just gonna read back in the comments, and I'm sure some of you guys out there are extremely knowledgeable about this and will be able to help us out. Or B, I'll just go home and research it tonight and figure it out. Maybe just go grab a new spacer tomorrow. It never hurts having extras of anything, especially with this car. I probably will hold off on that for now. But while the car is up, something that I need to do, and when I had my lesson with Taka like last week at Horse Thief Mile, he said it's like extremely important that when running E85 in your car to change the oil almost like every event. One of the like #1 problems with the 2J motor, especially guys who track them with like I do in my car, is that they just simply don't change their oil enough. So while we're here, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna show you the catch can is gonna like spew out like 100% alcohol, and that's all from the E85, so that's pretty cool. Whoa!
Wow, that sounds like a lot of whatever that is.
It's alcohol. Because we're riding E85. Ooh, it's burning my hand. Pure alcohol.
Like drinkable alcohol?
I mean,
ethanol?
I would never drink it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But, you know.
I mean, I'm sure you can't drink it, but it's, look, I'll show it to you. It's like straight alcohol. You want a little drink, baby?
No.
A
little bartender teach.
So for the filter, I use the HP 1002 from K&N. They hooked me up and actually sent me a bunch of filters. And I'm not sponsored or affiliated with K&N in any way, but they do help me out. So K&N, that is awesome. So if you guys are looking for any type of filters, I do recommend K&N. For oil, I always use Motul. I use it because I think it's one of the best oils out there, and I use 1550. The reason why I use such a thick oil is because with the 2J, when I run it super hot and I turn it off. I run it super hot and I turn it off. It's not running for very long, so for that reasoning, I use a pretty thick oil. Okay, let's go. Something that does suck about changing the oil on the 2J is that the filter is like in a really crappy spot. So when you do take that filter off, it drips down the side of the block and all over the hoses and on the oil pan. Really not excited to do that. And to think that I've only done like 2 events on this oil and it's pitch black. Just finished our oil change and we are right on the money. Right in the middle, looks good to me. So here's the armor that we just took off. I ran it through the power washer for like 10 minutes and actually cleaned it up pretty good. A lot of this just like superficial grime, it doesn't get on your hands, but it just like looks all dingy. So what I'm gonna have done is I'm gonna have a little tab replaced on this broken side, just like this brand new one. You can see that's literally all that has to happen. So I'm probably gonna take this to a fabricator or wherever someone could just like mimic that weld and put it right there. And now I have 2 backup spares for when I go to the track, and I have 2 tie rods. This spacer, I'm gonna have to go get the second, I'm gonna go have to get the other side and we'll install that another day. It shouldn't really take too long. But that was a good day's work. I got a lot done on the car. I might try and drive this week before filming the drift to Long Beach. I'm not sure. If we kind of have a crazy week, you guys will see obviously in a couple days. There's still a couple things I need to go through the car and replace. Like one of the main things, I need to get a new driver's side rear axle. That already started to blow out and started to spin everywhere. Rather than just repack stock ones, I might look at some aftermarket axles that can hold more torque. I'm not too sure yet. I feel like kind of guilty for getting in this car with like a super dirty shirt and oil all over it, but it's not my car, it's just a rental, so I don't feel that bad. But it is really nice. I'm pretty sure that Mercedes did the whole like ambient lighting around the car first. It looks cool, but like pretty sure Mercedes did that first. All right, it's much later in the day. I just spent pretty much all night going over numbers and going over our ordering list for our next Hunt & Company drop, and also ordering some stuff for AutoCon LA. This is my first announcement about this, but you guys will get a lot more as the month progresses, but This month, April 29th, I'm going to be at AutoCon LA again this year. We had it last year, and like literally it was the craziest amount of people that have ever come out to like an event that I've ever been at that I've told you guys about. Like it was insane crazy, and AutoCon holds like the craziest and best events in my opinion. We're gonna do like unveiling of the BRZ there, and we're gonna bring all the fun cool cars there for you guys to see. So we're gonna bring more cars this year. More of our crew is gonna be there, and we're gonna bring Hunt Company clothes that is specific to events. So there's gonna be certain clothes and items there that I was ordering tonight and drafting up tonight that you guys are gonna get from AutoCon that you won't get online, and you'll never see it online. So AutoCon LA, you guys should definitely go to that if you're in the area, because it's gonna be massive. But I'm gonna end it here tonight. I'm pretty tired and cashed out. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Peace out and keep moving forward.
And I'm feeling